In this video, I'm going to show you how to winterize your boat. It's going to go quick. We're going to start now. First thing you want to do is add a good marine stable to your tank. I have a 20-gallon tank, so I'm going to put the right amount of stable in. Sometimes I like to put it in a gas tank first, mix it up, and then pour it in here. It says that 1 ounce treats 10 gallons of gas. Now that I added my 2 ounces of marine stable, which is good for 20 gallons of gas, I'm gonna start the motor and run it for about 5 to 10 minutes to make sure that the motor warms up and the stable gets in the lines and gets into the carburetor. So you wanna run it long enough so it's able to suck it all in. And like I said, I like to put this sometimes in a gas tank first, mix it up, and then put it in your tank so it stirs up faster. Okay, what you do after you run your boat for 5 to 10 minutes is you want to spray some fogger down your carburetor. You don't have to do this, but I like to do it. The reason why is because if there's moisture in your motor, it'll leave little rust pits in your cylinders, and by spraying this into your carburetor, it'll suck it into your cylinders and kind of coat it with like an oil residue. So I recommend it. You don't have to do it. A lot of people say you don't need to at all. Make sure you have a good seal on both sides.
I spray fogger in the carburetor until the motor dies.
Okay, once I put the carburetor cap back on after fogging the motor, you're going to want to get a bucket, take these hose clamps off, and try to pour the water in the bucket so you can dump it outside of the boat.
Once you know you have your block full of coolant, dump the remaining out. After you're done with the block side, tighten the hose clamp and go work on the manifold side. As you can see, I'm using the leftover coolant from the block side. This whole process, I like to typically use 3 gallons. You could probably get away with 2. After you tighten your hose clamp on the manifold side, drain the drain plugs on the bottom of your motor.
Okay, after I finished with the motor, ran the motor, put seafoam in it, ran coolant through the motor, vacuum out all the water in the boat, I'm going to come in the back, I'm going to drain the lower end. So I drain it after every fall, and I usually fill it back up, but I'm not going to this year. I'm just going to drain it. First thing I do is I take the bottom screw out. You're going to want to clean that off, the magnet, and it takes metal shavings. Mine doesn't have any. That means my lower end's pretty awesome. I take care of it. The reason why you want to do the lower screw first is because then it won't dump on your fingers as much. Make sure you have the rubber grommet on the screw. Mine's still stuck to the lower end, so I'm going to have to peel that off and put it back on here. There we go. So just make sure you put that back on. They're really cheap, so if you need a new ones, just get them. You go, make sure you put the rubber grommet back on. Now that I have the lower end pulled off, I'm going to pull the top one off. that top one off, it should start draining faster. Just give it a while so it all can drain out. After you run the boat and you make sure your trim is in the right position, make sure you take out your battery. Before you add your coolant in your motor, some people like to drain the drain plugs on your block and your manifold. I think it's a great idea before you add the coolant, just to get all the water in so it doesn't have to get diluted before you add it all in. I like to do it after also, so I did it after just so you can kind of see the pink dripping. After you're done with all this, you want to make sure you vacuum all the water out of your boat and tarp it properly, or canopy, or put it in the garage, or have it properly stored. You don't want any water in the bottom of your boat, because if it gets in there, it can expand and blow your floor out. So that's very important. I hope this video worked out for you. Please hit like or subscribe. You're going to want to do this next year also, and I have a video of adding lower end fluid, doing an oil change, doing this oil fuel sender, doing all sorts of maintenance videos, and I'm gonna do an impeller on this next spring. That's why I didn't add lower end oil, because I'm gonna have to drain it again anyways. But I prefer to add lower end oil in the fall. That way it's coated with oil inside. Thank you very much. Have a great day.